2 months ago, the LA Clippers were the laughingstock of the NBA. A team full of veterans with no future, no assets, and no young players, having one of the worst records in the NBA. Well, 2 months is a long time in the NBA, because since then they've had the best record in the league, Kawhi has turned back into a top 10 player, and we found out Chris Paul was the sole reason for all of this. I'm joking. And now James Harden and Ivica Zubac are playing in the Eastern Conference, and right now, the Clippers have won both of those trades in a big way. Because after having zero assets just 4 days ago, the Clippers now have a 26-year-old two-time All-Star as their point guard, a 23-year-old talented shooting guard who can seriously score the basketball, and most importantly, they have a chance at a top 5 pick in this year's NBA draft. And Kawhi Leonard is still on the roster, in case you were wondering. There is no doubt the Clippers are a worse team than they were 3 days ago, but there is also no doubt their franchise is in a much better position than it was 3 days ago. And that is what matters most. Because these trades didn't happen as a result of the Clippers' desperation. These trades actually happened as a result of other teams' desperation. Because when James Harden requested a trade for the 15th time, none of us thought a team would give up someone 10 years younger who had just been an All-Star for a 36-year-old who's probably going to ask to leave next year. But they did. None of us thought a team would give up a potential top 5 pick for Ivica Zubac, a great player and incredible role player, but you could be giving up a top 5 pick for him? This was a deal the Clippers simply couldn't pass up. No, this is what was reported. The Clippers were not looking to trade Zoo, but you don't pass up the opportunity at a top 5 pick, which is what the Clippers will be getting if the Pacers get unlucky in this year's draft. And for anyone wondering, yes, it is literally a coin flip. If the Indiana Pacers get lucky and finish with a top 4 pick in this year's draft, then the Clippers will have to settle for an unprotected first round pick in 2029 and 2031. A pretty good compromise. But if the Indiana Pacers get unlucky and drop out of the top 4, then the Clippers could finish with the 5th overall pick in this year's draft, which is an incredible haul for a 28-year-old that once upon a time the Clippers picked up for Mike Muscala. Do you remember that? I sure do. And the Clippers are the biggest winners of this trade deadline because this is how you maximize value. Over the last several years, the Clips have done everything possible to compete for a championship. They have put all of their assets and all of their future on the table to support Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and try to win a chip. And I'm going to be that guy and say, you know what? They've been kind of unlucky. I mean, they banked on a guy who's been injury prone most of his career, but still, they've been unlucky. Because I think if they got one healthy run with both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they really did have a real chance at a championship. But this was their last chance. Aging guys trying to go all in with James Harden, Brook Lopez, Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, the senior citizen home, and, well, it just didn't work. We saw how bad they started the season. But that's when they turned things around. That's when they started to win again. And maybe, just maybe, the Clippers would buy in. Maybe they'd do what Miami and Chicago and Atlanta have done over the last several years and try to win, but ends up in mediocrity. No, the Clippers sold high, something none of those teams have done. And now those teams are stuck in the middle, whilst the Clippers, well, they at least have a future for the first time in years. And you might have seen tweets like this about the Thunder having the Clippers pick for this year and how the NBA is screwed because, well, the Clippers have traded away James Harden and Ivica Zubac. Well, Kawhi Leonard is still on that team, and as long as Kawhi Leonard is healthy, which is a big if, the Clippers are not going to be an awful team. But also, when you look at the Western Conference, I'd expect the Blazers to overtake them in the standings if Kawhi misses some games. But look at every other team below them. All of those teams are tanking. Not to mention in the East, where they're tanking in an even bigger way, there is no chance the Clippers end up with the top 5 odds for a pick. And honestly, unless they shut down Kawhi and Garland for the rest of the season, they'll probably still make the play-in. And what I love about this trade is not only have you traded James Harden for someone younger, but Darius Garland is no scrub. This is a guy who was an all-star last year, and he has the chance to make this trade look absolutely genius. Because prior to this season, over his last 4 years, Garland had averaged nearly 21 points, 7.5 assists on shooting splits of 46% from the field, 39% from 3, and 87% from the free throw line. You might think of a guy like Trae Young, an undersized point guard, or even Ja Morant, and these guys getting pushed out by the NBA, which is seemingly true, but one thing I'll say about Darius, he competes better defensively than Trae Young. He works more off the ball, he is more willing off the ball, he has been a better shooter than Trae Young consistently. And this is not just to trash on Trae Young, but they are different types of players. Darius Garland is someone that we saw work next to Donovan Mitchell on a team that won over 60 games last year, on a team that when Donovan Mitchell went to the bench, Darius Garland turned into an all-NBA level player. That is the kind of guy he can be. He has the potential to be one of the best point guards in the league for the next 10 years. And you got him for a disgruntled 36-year-old James Harden who didn't want to be with you? This is an absolute fleece. There is one big question mark, however. It is the health. Unlike James Harden, who has been an Iron Man his entire career, Garland has not been the same. This is someone who has dealt with a broken jaw, a torn meniscus, back injuries, ankle injuries, and now most recently, a toe injury that he had to have surgery for late last year. A toe injury that has been nagging him into this season, and people suspect is the reason for his drop-off in performance from last year to this year. But by all reports, he will be healthy soon. And I don't really believe he is doomed by this toe injury, because after a really rough start to the year, over his last 15 games, before getting injured again, Garland was starting to look like the player we had seen last year, averaging 20-7 on 52, 42, 85. We were starting to see him get back to that form. And if he can get healthy again for the Clippers, I mean, they're still going to win a lot of games this year, and they still have a chance at retooling next year. And this is why the Clippers could be the biggest winners of this trade deadline. They could end up with a 27-year-old All-NBA point guard and a top 5 pick next year. And whatever they choose to do, that's just flexibility that they're going to have alongside Kawhi Leonard, who is rebuilding his trade value by the day. And with what we've seen the Clippers get for these guys, who knows what they're going to turn Kawhi Leonard into? I don't know, but the Clippers are cooking.